Israel's leadership and intelligence has just issued a chilling alert, not only for just Americans, but the U.S. soil, not just worldwide, but right here at home. We're going to discuss that, and is it something that we should be paying attention to? Also, we're going to be discussing what Chicago's mayor just said. This is not just pulling away and acting political and having rhetoric against the Trump administration. Wait till you hear what he says, and this is not about civility or of wanting peace or just having a democratic narrative. Wait till you hear what he says. And what does that mean for other liberal cities and other liberal states? Are we truly seeing a divide in our country that will make for instability? Wait till you hear this. And then we're going to discuss your money. Gold is skyrocketing. Wait till you hear the numbers. Everything is at record profits. Now, on the optimist side, we're saying, wow, everything's looking great. But there's a problem. The dollar is at a monster low. Very much at a bad way. The question is, what does this mean? Because if all of a sudden, crypto, gold, stock market, everything looks good, but the dollar's failing, what does that say? And are we seeing the signs that the dollar's at the end? We're going to discuss all of this today and so many more stories. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here today. We're humbled again by your support and watching us each and every day. Remember our other channel, Life with Colby Mack. We post about 2 or 3 times a week. We have huge news coming. Wait till you hear this monster announcement that we've got coming up. We will release that probably over the next day or so on that channel. So be looking for that and subscribe to that channel because you're entered into the giveaway. Also, remember to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all those places you can find us. We finally got put back on a lot of those platforms. The Colby Mack, Real Colby Mack, or Colby Mack. But go check us out. We share our lives with you also on those platforms. Now let's jump into the stories of the day. First, let's talk about Israel and the warning that Bibi just gave America. Now, this is October 7th. We've already had pretty much a warning saying that there's some catastrophic things that have been alerted by our leadership already, the dangers of chaos and unrest. Well, that doesn't mean it's going to happen today. But I do think that we're in a time of people not liking each other, and a divide is getting even more common. Now, we're going to discuss that dealing with Chicago, but first let's talk about what Israel just said. Bibi just came out and made this announcement. Netanyahu says Iran could soon target the U.S. cities and nukes. Iran is developing intercontinental ballistic missiles with the capability of 8,000 kilometer range. Add this to 3,000, and therefore you have the range of New York City, Washington, Boston, Miami, even Mar-a-Lago. This is of grave danger. Now, here's where I struggle. I really do struggle. We hear this warning, and is it truth or not? We don't know. But here's what is amazing to me. The woke right and the left will take Bibi and what he says about the Israel alert for us, and they will disregard it as all propaganda and all lies. At the same time, they will support or at least take heed in warnings from Hamas and Palestinian and UN to condemn Israel. So you get what I'm saying now? Let me say that once more. You have the woke right, which is causing major splinters in the conservative movement. The Candace Owens, the Dave Smiths, the Ian Carrolls, all those guys. They're all causing problems for us. Even Tucker Carlson. Look into Tucker Carlson. Do you know his partner? His ties to Qatar, and his partner is a Muslim. Do you know that? I mean, it's a little shady, but I digress. That's not what the video is on. The bottom line is the woke right will take words that they hear and news stories they hear from mainstream media, from Palestine and from Gaza and from UN and Hamas. They'll hear those and they'll condemn Israel for it. However, Israel comes out and says, look, we're a friend of you. We're trying to warn you of things that's happening, and they'll disregard it. It's amazing how much the people on the woke right and the left absolutely hate Israel. What people don't realize, I think, and this is where I think I can get in the biggest Twitter wars. I could have more people comment and hate towards me. Absolute hate towards me if I say anything about, look, we trust Hamas but not trust Israel. Look, we don't understand that Israel actually is our ally. What we don't understand is Middle East would probably be worse off without Israel because of the pandemonium, the problems they have. Don't give me that the Muslims all get along. They absolutely hate each other. They're fighting all the time. It's just we don't hear about it because it doesn't play into the narrative. It's kind of like when you hear that white cops are hurting black people. To be honest with you, the cities, the inner cities, is black on black violence is actually causing for more problems, but you don't hear about that because it helped the narrative. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's the same way when we hear this warning, it's not the fact that we believe that Iran's going to strike us. The fact is this, is that we're willing to listen to UN, Hamas, and mainstream media on the narratives that Israel is wrong in every fact, and we condemn them for trying to bring awareness to the dangers of the Middle East. However, we will fully trust the terrorists like the Palestine movement and Hamas, and because it plays into the narrative of condemning Israel. This is what scares me about when we talk about biblical end times, is how the American right is falling to pieces when it comes to the support of Israel. The American left has, they're far gone. And so now we have this little inkling of support of Israel, which is the church, the Christian church, and sadly, most of the establishment Republicans. That's it. Southern Republicans, Southern Bible Belt people are going to support Israel. We believe that. But sadly, it's causing division all amongst our nations. Now, what Israel was saying was not the fact that Iran is going to take us out with all these missiles. What they are saying, though, is that the U.S. soul is more vulnerable than it's ever been, not because our leadership, but because the splinter of division that the Middle East has caused. And so therefore, you're making more extremists here on the soil of America. Now, if you remember me talking the last few days at these ICE riots and all this situation going on, you have a group that's holding up, the Antifa is holding up flags for Mexico because of the ICE situation, but then the majority of these people causing damage are anarcho-terrorists, and most of them are holding up Palestine flags. That has nothing to do with that. What I'm saying is we are building a group of individuals that have pure hatred towards America. And sadly, we tend to blame Israel for it. It's amazing how Anna Paulina Luna, who serves on a lot of committees as a congressman, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of hers, but she tends to lean more conservative than liberal. And the thing I don't understand is that she came out and said that the Charlie Kirk tragedy had some international influence, is what they're finding out. And of course, you have the Candace Owens and all these people are like, oh, it's Israel. And there's no proof of that. A text of frustration is not proof of that. But what is proof is Anna Paulina Luna came out and said it actually has ties to China. So we have the SIM situation last week in New York City, China. We have the situation where they're causing problems in Taiwan, China. And now we're seeing that it could actually have money flowing in to these protests and riots. And also with the tragedy of Charlie, could have some China touch to it. See, here's the biggest issue. You know why I think that we should pay attention to Iran? It's not because Iran's powerful and that Israel can't help it or that we can't do anything about it. It's the fact that they are aligning themselves with China, Russia, and North Korea. That is the scary thing. Pakistan is also coming alongside this whole situation. We're dividing ourselves on the world side, which is getting very dangerous because what it does is their rhetoric, their propaganda is making extremists back at home. Remember what I told you yesterday about the taqiyya? Now I might say that and butcher that name, but it's the way of making people believe that Muslims are a people of peace. And actually what they're doing is it allows them to lie about that so then they can start building their narrative. It's amazing that we will not trust Bibi Netanyahu or Israel. And again, I'm not the biggest Bibi fan, but I don't hear any Israelis, anyone in Israel saying death to America. Do you? So then we don't trust them, but then we trust the people that are saying death to America? I think we've got our stories completely wrong. And what scares me is not the fact that they're warning that something can happen here. It's the fact that we don't heed the warning and then we still want to condemn the people that's trying to get intelligence. To be honest with you, but beside CIA, no matter how much you hate them and how crazy they are and how dangerous they could be to American citizens, Mossad is very smart too. And when they learn intelligence, even though they're all shady, they're probably learning intelligence that could absolutely help America and Israel way more than it's going to help the people that's telling us death to America. Who are we trusting, and why are we allowing this division to take place here in America? Now, that's the international issue that's causing problems at the U.S. soil. Let's talk domestically just for a second, dealing with Chicago and dealing with the dangers of these riots and protests. Before we do, a word from today's sponsor, Chapter. Now, Chapter's been with me for about almost 8 to 9 months now. I started looking into them, and they reached out, and I was thinking, I don't know anything about Medicare. But when my father and mother got to this age, we started doing heavy research. Call this number below. They are an advisor for you, and they work for you for free. If you're 65 and older or about to be, and again, you're literally looking at open enrollment time. If supplements are getting you confused, parts are getting you confused, making sure that you have the right coverage is getting you confused, does it cover your doctor? All this stuff, all these questions can be answered by people like Chapter. Chapter comes alongside you and helps you find the best plan for you. The average American citizen who calls Chapter saves $1,100. This has probably been one of the most positive companies that I've worked for, because I've had the most testimonials where people saying Chapter actually is saving me money. So if you are 65 and older, or about to be, or have questions about your coverage, please check out Chapter today. Let them walk you through making sure you have the right plan, because if they can save you money in the economy we have, it's worth it. Check with Chapter today. Now let's talk about Chicago. And I want to read this, but before I read what Chicago said, I want you to listen to this story that just came out about this billionaire. And it again speaks volumes of where we're at in a nation. This is from Wall Street Apes. It says, American billionaire is funding nationwide protest in America. Nate Friedman discovered a protester holding a large flag that said, Allah is the only God. Now listen to that. The protests are demeaning our faith, our Christian values, our Judeo beliefs, our freedom and liberty in the name of death to America. So we're allowing that to be a freedom now, which is amazing to me, because we have no freedom on sometimes platforms, but then we allow people to go to the streets and degrade America. But I digress. Let's keep on going. It says, follow the money. It's led back to Neville Roy Singham. Neville Roy Singham is a billionaire Marxist who sold his IT consulting firm to a private equity firm for $785 million. The private equity firm he sold to has ties to China. Whoa! So let's go back to what Anna Paulina Luna said about how China is interfering with American politics, and also maybe Charlie Kirk's strategy, and also now we're seeing it come back to the dangers of it. Well, all of a sudden now we have this billionaire who is funding all these protests have links back to China too. But somehow we allow him to walk free and no one knows about him. Neville Roy Singham has given over $20 million to the People's Forum through something called the Donor Advisory Fund. What that does is an NGO, again, allowing the government to give tax benefits for people to hate America, to give to people to actually protest in New York. These protesters sometimes can make $75,000 a year. A donor advised fund is when you don't want people to know where your money goes, so then you try to hide it. But what it does is it gives the money to the protest, and it makes it where you are the one paying for them to protest. So we talk about Soros, but what about this guy? And yet we've had zero arrests. Now we're talking about James Comey and John Bolton's house, but really what has the DOJ done? These people are actively paying these protesters to cause major problems in the cities, along with, I mean, what about Chicago? What about Dallas, where they're literally having shootings against our ICE agents? Now let's go to Chicago, because this brings up the fact that now we have people we see is paying, they're tied to China, and we see that we have warnings that there's going to be more of this from Netanyahu, from his intelligence. Now listen to what Chicago's mayor just said. Brandon Johnson says, this is a quote, the right wing of this country wants to rematch of the Civil War. It says Chicago is now flirting with secession and saying they want ICE-free zones, but now they want a rematch with Civil War. What is so amazing to me, when it shows how dumb this guy is. The Republicans were on the side of freedom, not the Democrats. So it shows how just foolish this guy is, and how he's leading people astray. Chicago PD just pulled a Benghazi and left the ICE agents trapped after getting rammed. There is video showing the Chicago police and Portland police, a lot of these police that are led by these liberal ideologies, telling protesters how to protest to not get in trouble with ICE, telling them how to avoid them, where to go, working alongside them against the Trump administration. So now we have a billionaire funding these riots. We have the ties to China. We have the fact that now we have warnings on U.S. soil where there's a guy holding up a flag that says death to America and says Allah is our God. And he's paid. So does he believe it? No, he's just paid. But if he can get paid to cause mischief, they're going to keep on doing it. So I wonder how many of these people are paid, and how many of these people are causing mischief in the name of hatred towards Donald Trump, in the name of just making money. So this civil unrest, what does the Democrats want the most? civil unrest. Why? Because then it puts them in a control element. I absolutely love what Jeffrey Mead said. He says, Democrats are not incentivizing anything for black Americans to do better. And this is coming from a black guy. He said, Democrats rely on the victimization of their voters. If their voters are no longer victims, then Democrats have a much harder time pushing their narratives. He says, if Democrats keep black Americans thinking that racist is a big problem, huge problem for black in the country is caused by Republicans, it's a very effective way to keep black voters under their control. If they keep them struggling and getting on benefits of the government, then they have their votes forever. Now think about that. Going on with all the stories that we just talked about, it's amazing that this is taking place right now. So it's amazing that we are allowing for tax benefits, for tax-free income of these people who hate America to take advantage of the tax system, to take our taxpayer dollars to fund these NGOs and ultimately use it for the harm of what we want the most. Elon Musk said it best. He says, you get taxed on what you earn, you get taxed on what you buy, you get taxed on what you own. Then a bunch of stuff it gets spent on is stuff that you don't even agree with. That's why we need to reduce the size of government, not make it bigger. Democrats are saying we need to stand up and rematch these Republicans. They're keeping you in harm's way. They're the ones causing problems. It's amazing how the Democrats even have a platform. It shows how foolish people are that they trust them, because what Trump is doing is trying to clean up the towns and the cities, and you have people rioting that. I just don't, that takes me to a point where you have to be on a kindergarten level education to see that the Democrats are winning this argument in the liberal cities. That Brandon Marshall is saying stuff like rematching Civil War, which the Democrats were on the wrong side of the Civil War, by the way, with freedom of African Americans. But I digress. It also is saying he wants to keep problems in the city, like Jeffrey Mead just said, he wants to keep problems in the city to keep people at dependency. And it's amazing that these people's been under Democratic rule in the cities for 50, 60, 70, 80 years, and they blame Trump and the Republicans for the problems they're facing. This just blows my mind. This is why you're getting to a divide that I don't think that we can come and get over anytime soon. It's going to cause for, sadly, like Brandon Marshall said, unrest, non-civil, dangers between the sides of hatred. And then you throw in the international flares of China. You throw the international flares of death to America. You throw the international flares of the dangers of crazy people. You're getting to a point of very dangerous rhetoric that's going to cause for more of a spark that's going to cause for something like a civil war again. Listen to these last two stories, and then we're going to move right into the financials. College grads now have a higher unemployment rate than non-grads. People that are going to school are getting more indoctrinated and finding less work and being in debt up to their eyeballs to the government. So therefore, they tend to become liberals. They tend to be socialists. They tend to be Marxists, and they tend to lean towards the government to fix all their problems. However, for Americans who are non-grads, who grow up in a home that wants the kids to be a family, like homeschool, it says that they are coming into the workforce, making more money, and has more freedom and control of their own lives. That's a study done. Let's keep on going with that. UN targets homeschooling to try to get areas from being involved in independent homeschooling. They're trying to get countries to embrace this new UN global style of schooling, even when they're done at home. So you tell me, we trust the UN over Israel in the comments towards Middle East, and then we find out that they're actually wanting more control of you, and people just take it hook, line, and sinker. It's amazing. What we just saw in the last study is that homeschooling and people that are doing non-grad studies, people who are learning skills, people who are getting into the workforce earlier, are actually more independent and free and are making way more money and have less unemployment. However, the people that are going to school are debt up to their eyeballs, and also most likely will not get jobs because of AI taking them. But then they're going to be so tied to the government because they have student loans and they're wanting the government to fix all their problems. That leads me to the last story with our financials. This is where it all could come crashing down. Kobayashi letter, which tends to be, they're middle, but they tend to be more doom and gloom, meaning they tend to look at the news and say these are not good things that are happening, and there's a reason for it. It says gold is officially crossing to 4,000 for the first time in history. Gold is now worth $27 trillion. That is unbelievable. And that's why I tell you to invest in gold every day. I buy from Genesis Gold. I buy some local. Please buy some gold, because when our dollar falls, gold is going to be the safe haven. Or stable coins. That brings me to the point. Listen to what Ken Griffin just said. This is Citadel's owner and benefit, the owner of Citadel, which is a billionaire. He says, inflation is substantially above target and the dollar is falling. Inflation is substantially high, and we see the fact of the dollar depreciating over 10%. It's the biggest single decline of the U.S. dollar within 50 years. Gold is going so high, and other dollar substitutes are going stronger than it's ever gone before. Kobayashi letter says, when everything it seems at an all-time high, why do you ask yourself something has to change? All the safe havens, the risky assets, real estate, crypto, global bond yields, and everything in between is hitting daily highs. From gold to crypto to the markets, everything is strong. Other than the one thing that's supposed to be the biggest asset, the dollar is crashing. It says U.S. dollar is on track to be the worst year within 40 to 50 years. Not only is the dollar struggling, the fact that people are buying our debts is getting weaker. So when we see a time where everything with AI and crypto is moving, when we see everything like the dangers of surveillance with digital ID and real ID, do we not find this being a risk? It's amazing that everybody's getting out of the dollar and they're going into other things. Now, I do believe gold is a good thing. I do believe real estate's a good thing. I do believe food and water, all those things are good. They're barterable goods. But what I'm scared of is everybody's pushing away from the dollar and moving into things like stablecoins and cryptos and other assets such as the stock market because it looks good and they don't want to miss out on anything. To all of a sudden, when our economy crashes, no one has access to their money because they let their cash go. They went to some kind of digitized form of money, and that's going to play right in the hands of the real ID and digital ID. There's a new story that came out that said more people are investing in stable coins, and they believe this will be the future of our country. They're even calling it the gold-backed currency. See, they're playing on words. That'll never happen. Gold and silver are going up crazy. Real estate is going up crazy, but those things bring independence. But if you notice, you never hear of government telling you to buy those kind of things. They're telling you to invest in crypto and stable coins. But guess what? Slowly and surely, governments are buying and the Fed are buying gold and silver. They just don't want to tell you to because they know that gives you independence. See, here's the danger with our economy. When everything looks good, you got to think back. We're still spending money like crazy. We're still printing money like crazy. We're in major turmoils in America and worldwide. Why does everything look so good, but the dollar, the one thing that gives us independence and safety and freedom, is falling? There may be a distraction. Let's get away from the dollar and move everybody to these crypto things. And also when the dollar falls out or the economy falls out, everybody's at lock, stock, and barrel. And they're stuck in these cryptos and they can't access money. And we just may have to do some kind of reset. This is playing right into the government and global hands. Pay attention to these stories. Dr. Yarndon, with former Pfizer exec, he said, digital ID is nothing more than to control your money, control your health, and control your life. And until we can understand that and not be foolish towards it and have wisdom with it, he said, we will fall in the same trap over and over and over again. You know, I'm a farmer, and when I have to do butchering and processing, no matter how many times those cows, those sheep, those pigs, those chickens see their buddies, their confidants, come into the same pen to where I'm going to harvest them, they forget very soon. And so next month when I need another one, or next 2 weeks I need another one, or I do it again in 20 minutes, those animals are not smart enough to say, well, I may not need to go there because for some reason, every time one of our friends go there, they don't make it out. We never see them again. It's because they're foolish. They're animals, correct? I believe sometimes we are the sheep being led to slaughter. And all these stories are just leading us to where, oh, we're missing out. We've got to invest in crypto. Oh, we're missing out. We've got to invest in this. We cannot trust Israel. We got to trust Hamas. It puts us in a very foolish mentality to where we start trusting the wrong people instead of trusting wisdom and seeking guidance, spiritual guidance for sure, but ultimately just saying, God, show me people who are having wisdom. Just like the Charlie Kirk, you've heard that Israel's involved, you heard that left is involved, you heard that China's involved. Sadly, we lost someone who was leading a major charge, and now it's causing division among the right even more than it already has been. You see how they can divide and conquer us? Because they divide us on the stupidest of issues, and we're foolish enough to believe it. Guys, pay attention to these stories. Our money it's like the Titanic hitting an iceberg. And we think we can pass the iceberg, but we don't realize that iceberg is really big underneath. And it's going to sink us if we're not careful. Find ways to get freedom Stay away from this liberal ideology and quit letting the left and the world split the Republican Party and the conservative movement, because they're going to win if they do. Pay attention. Thank you guys for watching. God bless.